Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good day in the neighborhood. How you doing back there, John?
Doing really good.
It's really cold outside today. I'm a little chilly in here.
The sidewalks are slippery. It looks like an ice flow in my neighborhood.
Yeah. I should have brought my ice skates.
Super slippery outside.
So anyways, today, I apologize to everybody. We're starting a little late, but we're ready to roll now. I have my guest, Mr. Darwin Giles from Flint Urban Culture. That's a lot to say. And his guest, Mr. Bruce Rice. So I know we're getting ready to set it off, so I'm just going to step to the side. Last time he was here on my show, I didn't even have to say much. All I could say was praise, praise. I just stood back and said, preach, boy, preach. So today, who we going to put on blast today? I know you got a reason.
Well, first of all, I just would like to start and just thank everyone for their support and for the movement that have been extremely effective. A little over a year ago, I started Flint Urban Culture, and I had no clue that I would actually send shockwaves throughout my city. I had no clue that I would be able to align myself with strong men, mentors such as C.O. Bryant. I actually have a mentor of mine, a personal mentor, Lieutenant Governor Jennifer Carroll, who actually has given me advice towards my career path, and not only that, but my leadership course throughout government, and also my educational course concerning my master's, but also linking locally with good leaders such as Bruce Rice, who's been a solid brother in my support. But I really would like to say that there's a lot of positive things that I would like to acknowledge right now. So I definitely would like to start. I have a list of individuals I would like to call out who's doing a tremendous job in Flint. And I think that's one of the biggest things when you know you have a positive movement, we need to support them. Exactly. So I do plan on raising funds for these individuals and also linking up with them in any way possible that I can. And so I would like to start first with Kellen Brandon, Brandon Publishings. I would like to say that he's doing a wonderful job. If I'm correct, he actually had a vital part in a sixth grader actually being able to publish a book.
Yeah, he wrote his first book. He was his first young person. I had him on the show last year too.
Correct. Okay. And so, but what a lot of people don't understand is this actually is like that's like family right there. That's like a close friend of the family. And the difference between him and a lot of individuals, he has a strong positive movement, but also he's an individual who will stand up against evil. Because you can't just have a positive movement without being willing to do as Jesus did and confront the failed gatekeepers and the individuals who are continuing to keep the city down. And so I definitely say support him 100% any way that we can. We actually have plans, hopefully, of doing some things in the future. And I would like to acknowledge him, especially him and his wife. It's funny because actually his wife's mother and one of my mentors are actually very close. And so this friend is very small. And also I'd like to start with Kayla Wilborn.
I know Kayla.
So I think that she's doing a wonderful, wonderful job. I believe it's Vehicle City Fashion Week.
Yeah, I know she has the fashion line Fannie Lucille.
Correct.
And she's going to be on my show in March.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely want to give a lot of shots out, a lot of love there. A lot of individuals understand. Even her husband, Randy Wilborn, is actually he's been like a childhood friend, and so hopefully he understands that because political and politics right now there's a lot of political lines out there, but hopefully those political lines and individuals who I stand up against, that never cause any type of tension or fraction with our relationship. I've always had a lot of respect for him and what they're doing. I think there should be a Vehicle City Fashion Month, because what she's doing is just good overall. It's just really good for the city, and you could tell she's called to do it.
Yeah,
and she's powerful what she's doing. And so I gotta say this. I gotta keep the truth out there. I think we had 1 week where I think we should have supported her a lot more. And I think if we had one fashion show, I don't think we needed another fashion show right after her fashion show. And what I mean by that is we have to be able to notice the skill sets and the talent we have here. And I'm not trying to talk down on anybody. I'm not trying to say individuals can't do their own thing or nobody's copying cat off anybody. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, in order for us to make a serious impact here in Flint, we have to know, okay, if you are good at A and I'm good at B, okay, maybe we're working towards the same goal, but why don't we get together? You know, I think that week could have been a whole lot more fulfilled. They could have did both fashion shows within the same week.
Yeah.
If you know, maybe they could have got together.
They could have merged them even.
Correct. And they could have merged these things and got together and came together and said, you know what, you focus on swimsuit, swimwear, or whatever, you know, and I focus on what I'm doing, and we get together, and, you know, so it's too much division, it's too much separation here, and it's too much competition, and it's almost like kiddish competition, like high school competition. And you know, for me, where I come from, where Bruce comes from, and you know that we don't got time for that. You know, that's just we ain't got time for that.
Well,
you know?
well, I would like to say the thing is we should support one another, and if we look at our condition as a people and as a city and a community. And remember back when like the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child.
Correct.
At one point in time, it was everyone's responsibility on the street on what happened with children and what happened with each other.
I lived through that.
Yes, if the next door neighbor didn't have no food, then
take some over.
Big Mama gonna fix some extra beans and
Right.
some extra cornbread. And I think we've gotten away from the care and concern for the welfare of our neighbors.
Correct.
And there's so many people that say they love the Bible, they love God, they love Jesus, but they're not benevolent at
Correct.
all.
Yeah.
You know, and things have gotten so tight financially. It got so tight economically to where it's been like every man for himself. So
Correct.
even in the conditions that our city is in at this point, in the transitions that we've been through, I think in order to get the city back where it needs to be, we need to start supporting one another. We need to see what can we do to help someone who's doing something maybe we were thinking about last week, but this person has it ready right now.
Right.
So I think what we need to remember is sometimes we need to pay it forward. You know, even if I'm not ready to do the same thing right now, what can I do to help this other person and get the notion that, hey, it will be better if we can come together. Like the saying, two heads are better than one.
That's where the Flaminpit Show come in at.
Yes, exactly.
Correct.
Paying it forward every time I can.
Exactly.
Correct. And so, you know, I just wanted to say that because, you know, we were young, but, you know, we got old souls. So,
I know. I was thinking about that when I was driving here today.
By my grandparents and Bruce old school. So, you know, we old school, but, you know, we've seen a lot, we've done a lot, and, you know, we just want to be able to share the truth with people in a way in which we can help bring our city together. And so unity is, you know, a lot of people say they talk about unity, but I'm going to be honest, there's certain people you can't unify because they're toxic. You know, until they choose to change their ways, their thinking processes, and those type of things. So there's some alliances that right now can't be built, but that don't mean in the future they can't be built. You know, if people choose to change from their ways and choose to evolve their, you know, their thinking and those type of things. And so I think unity is critical. And so when you have something very beneficial, when you have something that is really effective, that's when you see who's going to support you and who's not.
Right.
And it's in those times, and this is actually why I'm here now. And eventually I'm going to let Bruce, you know, take over and I'm going to let him explain how we met and actually, you know, what Flint urban culture means to him and just what we stand for, because this individual did something for me at a time when, you know, he could have easily sat down and kind of flopped on me and folded on me, but he didn't.
Yes.
You know, and he could have chose to do like a lot of people and try to mimic and copycat my movement and do a lot of things, you know, because, you know, Flint urban culture is the urban difference. You know, I am the pioneer doing this towards bringing it. You know, you look up now, everything is urban this. It's urban that,
right?
You know, and it's like, where were you guys back in 2005? Where were you before the development downtown? Where were you? You know, and so for me, I know I'm a pioneer in doing this, and I know for a fact I'm leading the charge for my generation. And so, you know, I think that when things are really effective and when you're doing a lot, that's when you know, support means the most. You know, and also those who are loyal, they're not going to be backstabbers. They're not going to be people who they're going to try to sabotage what you're doing. And,
right.
You know, and so. those are the things that is really critical. And also I want to name too, just sticking to the positive things that I want to acknowledge. Dreams do come true. I think Danielle Green and just the whole team, and all of them and what they're doing, I think is very solid. In fact, I was just thinking that, man, these network of women have literally, they've done more productivity. They had more productivity. They've done more productive things in the city than what I've seen most men do from a church standpoint, from a governmental standpoint. I mean, I'm almost like, okay, let's get with these ladies and mimic the same thing in other areas, and let's get some stuff done, because we need those type of leaders. We need those type of alliances. We need those things, to be literally supported amongst one another. And Danielle Green was a solid supporter of me since we started, and even she stood up for me and really held me down during the time when I spoke out on some things, and she said of how Flint urban culture was truly needed. And so, me, I don't hold no bias against nobody. If you a supporter, that's good. But I hopefully, again, and one of our family members, put out some music that was pretty distasteful. You know what I mean? And I had to, I had to keep it real with her and let her know, like, this wasn't good, because it was on her page, and I'm like, I don't know if she's promoting it, but she said it was her intern, and so I hopped all over. I'm gonna be honest. But if I put my own family out there, I'm not gonna just spare it. That's like Bruce. We cool, but hey, if he start to promote the wrong thing tomorrow, yes, I love you, Bruce, but I'm gonna stand up against you. That's just and that's how we roll. That's that's the top. And I'm pretty sure Danielle really didn't take it personal. I'm pretty sure she didn't. But at the same time, hopefully she didn't. But I really seen her as being a positive person, and just what she's doing and standing up, choosing to be the solution. I mean, I remember when we first sat down, her and an individual from my team. And she actually told me, she said, "Down, I'm really a part of the solution now." I mean, she really poured out her heart and just really, and even shared some details with me. I'm like, wow, she has to be a genuine person to even tell me what she just told me. That's beautiful. And so I think I have a lot of love and respect for her and just their whole movement. Aren't you affiliated with them?
Well, I was working with them through the first event that we had at Bubba's, and then the second event I didn't work with them, but I worked with Danielle, and they are a good group to work with. I've helped with bringing in the dressers and setting up the fundraisers and all that kind of stuff, so it was fun.
And the director as well.
Yeah,
right?
Walitha.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because Walitha, I look at her is actually, I'm going to reach out there because I see her as a serious mentor. I've always said that I've had key women mentors in my life that when I look back, I've had some definitely solid men mentors that I consider to be, father figures. But when I look at her and just what she stands for, I mean, she stands for excellence, and I really see that. And so anybody that can pick her brain and get notes from her, do that, because what she's doing and what she's been able to do is really rare in Flint. You don't really see that many women coming together and being able to do what they're doing. And also I want to speak on something that I've just found out about, which is very tragic. April Miller, I heard about the passing of her.
Well, I don't know her, but I saw the Facebook page of her yesterday.
Okay, so to be honest, I'm really lost for words. I really wished me and her would have been able to get together and sit down and talk. She happened to be one of the people that was pretty, I don't want to use the word malicious, but she was pretty, she was pretty going at me on Facebook, and I don't even know her.
Well, I know when you came on the first show, it was people after you like that. I mean, I looked at Facebook, I was like, ooh, they like, you better watch your back and all this. I was like, ooh, where did I start?
we would like to say condolences to their family. We pray that the family members and everyone that knew her and that was friends with her, related to her, we hope that you find peace. We hope that you are able to deal with the passing away of a beautiful young lady, and we just hope that you all can come together and get through this situation of her passing.
Correct, because I actually had a good friend of mine, Devlin Jones. He actually came to me and he wanted me to help do and put together an actual program for her. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna do that. I don't mind doing that, but it's just, you never know how things are going to turn out. If you really don't know a person, please don't speak out, against them, because you really don't know where they come from. You don't know who's backing them. You don't know their story. And so when I read some of these things, I was like, wow, I don't even really know April Miller. I mean, I don't even know. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know, like, wow, what do you know? So automatically, I'm thinking, it's politics, and unfortunately, a lot of people who I combat, I call them out. I even say, if you have an issue, let's put up a public charity, let's publicly debate, and let's take care of it. Because I stand 99% on the truth and what I stand for. I'm not going to back down from that, especially knowing that I have the proof and evidence and the things that I stand for. I always say no one has ever called me a liar. You may not have liked what I've said, but nobody has never called me a liar. And so as a result, I just really wanted to send my condolences to the family, because from what I understand, a lot of people tell me she was a good person and they have a lot of respect for her. And like I said, she was working with a good friend of mine, and so when I heard about that, I'm like, wow, we really didn't get a chance to kind of push that behind us and squash that and make amends, because I never said anything back to her because I didn't know her, but I'm like, wow, who is this? So I'm thinking, first of all, she's talented and she gotta have a lot of courage to just put come at me, because I don't stop, what I'm saying? I'm around you around the clock year round, so I'm like, okay, and so I just really want to send my condolences out to the family and just make sure that they know sincerely that man, I believe me, I've lost family and loved ones, and I just want to make sure that I wanted to really make amends. So hopefully the family and everyone else who may even read her post see that, hey, it was all love. It really was. Even though she may have had her opinion and what she said, I really didn't know her. And as a result, hopefully we can put this program together and we can move on and celebrate her life and do those things. And so that's pretty much what I want to start off as an intro. And so Bruce, I just want to allow you to step up and see how we came about, and just what Flint urban culture stands and mean to you. And
yes, okay. Well, with me,
you can be real too.
Yeah, well, of course I'm gonna do that. First off, the way that I came by being able to meet Darwin and understand what Flint urban culture stood for, I was on Facebook, and myself, I put things on Facebook that are so close to home and is so true, to where it's anonymous, but it's true and factual. And I put different quotes or different scenarios on there for the purpose to get people to look and read them and think about themselves. And and I know I hit close to home to a lot of people. And with my post, I normally only get more likes than I get responses or anything to that measure.
Right.
And I know why, but I don't need that, because I'm not on there putting what I put for personal gratification or to point out anyone else's wrongs. I even put honest stuff about myself, and it can be deep in detail, but the thing is, I feel comfortable doing that because it's the truth. And I want to convey the message to people that if you want honesty from others, you got to first be honest within yourself.
Got to.
And if you don't face yourself, then how can you face your neighbor?
Correct.
And so I don't restrict my posts to what other people are doing. I restrict a lot of it because of things that I've been through, things that I've done, things I've been closely associated with. And then the purpose is to get people to really make better and healthy life choices.
Correct.
And so I was on there scrolling through. A lot of times I look for people saying, oh, this guy done cheated on me again, or my kids aren't doing what they're supposed to do, or my finances aren't where they need to be, and I wish everybody would be loyal and keep it real and 300, as they say.
I want to be 100.
Yeah.
So I come across a posting that came up in my notifications that was posted by some peers of mine I went to school with concerning Flint urban culture, but I had never seen Flint urban culture before.
We cool now, so you can say her name. If you don't, I'm gonna put it out there. So we cool now. Me and Renisha cool. We cool.
Renika Simmons and her husband, Chef Nate Brown. He got the wings and things down on 4th
He's been
Street.
on my show.
Make sure that y'all go down there and
gotta support him. That's family too.
That brother is a good brother.
And she has the shop in the mall, the jewelry shop.
And they're very, very positive people.
Yeah,
and
I like them a lot.
love them to death. We went to school. I've always loved them and always will, and support them in any anything that they do.
Right.
And they're very business minded. They're a good example to other young people.
Yeah, for both of them to have a business.
And the school board now.
Yeah,
and the
school board.
Yeah, we have to do that.
So congratulations. But technically, the truth is, I saw that she had put some things saying that this guy. Well, it wasn't just her. It was some other people that escapes me. But Renika, you can't forget her. Because
she's very bold. She's a soldier. So when she puts something out there, people listening.
She's a strong woman.
Yeah,
she's always have been, and
she's
I
cute
really
too.
respect her. I mean, hey,
she's pretty.
But I don't want
Nate Brown. You got a pretty wife.
I don't want no trouble with things and things. That's his way. I'm gonna leave his thing alone.
But everybody wants their partner to be pretty. I wouldn't want somebody to say you got an ugly man.
Exactly. Well, see, but I saw that on there. I was like, well, who is this guy and why?
You didn't explain what exactly she had put up.
Well, it escapes me exactly technically what it was, but whatever it was displeasure in something that you had posted.
Correct.
And I'm the type of person, before I make an opinion or that a permanent opinion about something, I like to make a map. I like to lay things out on the table. I like to look at all different scenarios from all angles, even the ones I don't like. Because just because I might not personally like something, the truth is the truth on its own, and it will stand on its own.
But give a general whatever you remember from the post.
What I remember is basically like, you're crazy, you're radical, you're not right for saying what you say. You're too gun ho and and things of that nature.
I tell you,
and they were going in. And again, Renisha was not. She didn't know me. Renika, she didn't know me.
Yes.
She didn't know me at all. So here it is. This was another person that was putting stuff out on me who don't know me personally.
They were like, "Watch your back."
Well, see, the thing is, for me, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but my opinion, and like I say, first off, before I make an opinion, or especially if I do it publicly, like I say, because you never know who's who or what's what. And at first I read it, I was like, well, yeah, it do seem kind of, but then I was like, no, well, let me sit back and really look at it. And when I looked at it, I said, well, he didn't do anything wrong. I said, so I put on there, well, look, basically, bag up off of it.
He spoke the truth.
Because the facts are the facts. You might not like who he said the facts about.
Correct.
You might not like the fact of how it came across.
Correct.
But the thing is, where's the responsibility of the people that Darwin was talking about when it comes to their actions that made that unction Darwin, which is the I guess the what I want to say, which is the maker or whatever of Flint culture, originator of Flint culture or whatever, will unction him to say what he said. And I had to look at the facts and look at what he wrote, what he posted. And I was like, well, if it's the truth, it's the truth. And that's one thing. I mean, in keeping it real and loyalty and honesty, you got to have the truth.
And so I didn't even know Bruce when he stood up for me. So he, shut the blog down basically for me, and I didn't even know him.
And there were no more responses. Mr. Rice, don't play that.
Mr. Rice has spoken.
Yes, Mr. Rice, don't play that. And then the truth is the truth, and I'm not easily intimidated at all. And I stand for the truth as well.
So God really connected me and him together, and I look at him when it's time to really go in and put in some work. He right with me.
Right.
Like he in, and he's just as intellectual. I think he's a brilliant guy, and so as a result, when I'm like, wow, he can stand up for me, and I don't even know you. That's a solid brother right there.
Well,
because he did that at a time when everybody could have easily just tried to persecute me, even though I had a lot of support for what I had said. But he directly went to the source. Like, look, hey, because I'm a firm believer. If you support something that's right, whether you know the person or not, stand up for what's right. Don't let nobody talk about somebody you support or you care about publicly and you don't say nothing. I have some people that I know that I love, and if somebody says something about them publicly, I'm going at them. Like, I'm not talking about through Facebook. I'm saying I'm gonna come to you, bro. What are you talking about? Because I know this. This is my family. This is my. And so for him to make that move showed me like, wow, we really do still got some solid brothers.
Well, I would like to say, see, here's the thing. Even talking to you in Flint, I'm talking to everybody.
Correct.
See, the thing is, if everybody look at the conditions of our city, Look at the conditions of our household. Look at the conditions of our economical structure. Look at the conditions of our churches.
Correct.
Look at the conditions of our education.
Break it down, Bruce.
That we send our children to every month, every morning, and entrust our children to this educational system that's lacking funding, where our children are not getting the proper education that they do deserve.
Correct.
It's a shame that we got to use different addresses in order to get our children to go to Grand Blanc schools and Burton schools or Flushing schools in order to get a fair education.
Which is a Democratic practice. It is not a Republicans, because we believe in you having a choice of schools you can actually attend.
Okay, and that's a good point. And see, we need to look at these grassroots issues is what we need to look at. So when it comes to Darwin Giles and when it comes to Flint urban culture, before you make an opinion or get disgusted with him or be biased because of your relation to a person or because you cool with this person or you get money with this person,
correct,
before you look at all that, why don't you look at what the person you know or favor is doing to help the decay of the city that we live in?
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? The thing is, if he is telling the truth, okay, if Flint urban culture is, which it does, stands for the truth, then why go against something that because the Bible even says the truth shall make you free.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying?
But I usually interject here and the Lisa show, but I have to say I started reading Flint Urban Cultures, your postings when you first started. And I was and then I met you, and you were talking basically, you talked about the themes that I'm more of a conservative anyway. On a lot of political issues, I'm conservative.
Correct.
And I believe in personal responsibility. Well, that's almost become mocked by the liberals. So they roll their eyes. Oh, personal. They don't. I mean, they want people more dependent upon them.
Yeah.
And I don't think where that goes anywhere positive.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Well, and then another thing, a killer in our city is, we do some slang. Everyone wants to be a boss. You see what I'm saying? And then, like Rick Ross said, that OG stands on his own feet, and a boss or something, we gonna eat or something like that. Let me break something down to you all in Flint. If you look at the boss mentality, and this is where some of this, some of the riff is coming from, when you go against certain people for factual reasons, is because 9 times out of 10 these people are the ones that have certain sums of money or have certain influence over certain people within our community.
Which is why the Lord put them on my heart to publicly correct them, because as I always say, open criticism is better than hidden love. So a lot of times I'm not only, when you look at how we are supposed to stand against evil and the influence of negativity,
exactly,
we are supposed to target these people and literally draw the line and say, hey, listen, what you're doing is harming yourself, other people, and what you're promoting is not right. And so that's why not everybody's a target.
No.
You know what I mean? Like not everybody's a target. Like, for instance, there's a lot of people who got a lot of love and respect for me that's from the drug. I mean, they deep in the drugs. I mean, they deep in the dope game. But these are a lot of my friends or individuals who were once close acquaintances of mine. And so I got love and respect for them in the sense of I want to help them, mentor them, and get them out of the streets. Like I have a mentor from Pontiac, just did some years, got out, and I'm trying to help him transition into being more positive and getting a job and being legal, go back to school. And so those individuals have never had an issue with me. It's always been individuals that are fake, they imitation, I call them groupie rappers. It's always been the people who want to maintain, like he said, this boss mentality, or this, you can't touch what I'm doing, or the name recognition like Woodrow Stanley, or these type of individuals who don't want to give up their stronghold, over the people. And so as a result, they tend to shy away from telling people the truth. And unfortunately, we don't have a culture of thinkers in Flint. So people don't stand on their own. They don't research on their own.
Correct.
They just follow the crowd. They just follow what's wrong. And this is why God will raise up strong leaders such as Bruce and I and other individuals, and even yourself, Lisa, and even yourself, John, and to stand up and fight this type of evil. Because if we don't do that, then they're going to continue to be giants in the land. They're going to continue to influence people wrong and keep this decay going. Because you got to think about it. The stuff in Flint didn't just happen. Okay, it had to take leadership to bring things down. It had to take people to support the wrong things in Flint. When you look at General Motors, okay, General Motors was one of the main reasons of why the decay happened in Flint. We put our trust in General Motors. We put our trust in the people who lowered the standards. I mean, on a whole nother level. And I'm gonna get into this in deeper detail. I'm gonna let Bruce finish, but I just have to, because he just made a solid point. Yeah. And it's those type of individuals that I've had to personally attack. And when I say attack, I don't mean them maliciously or them personally. I mean their thinking, their ideologies, their immoral stances for things, their lack of personal accountability and acceptance. Exactly. And so those are the things in which that I stand against.
Well, and I can agree with that. And like I was saying, we as people, the adults, first off, we need to be more responsible for our actions. We need to be more responsible for what we choose to do within our community. We need to be more responsible for who we idolize within our community. Correct. Because sometimes we idolize the wrong people.
Oh yeah.
We got these party promoters that will make
toxic promoters
dollars all year long and do nothing but promote spend all your money on merchandise,
drug culture.
We got all these people coming out for the wrong reasons. Correct. We are spending monies that we shouldn't be spending within our houses. We have people going to the Gucci stores, going to Detroit, buying all this Gucci clothes to go and take pictures and post them on Facebook. And might I add, most of the people that's probably listening got more pictures of them and their friends in the club than they even have with their own children.
Correct.
You see, and that's a point. I mean, I got to say that. And see, when we idolize these people, we have any of you ever just sat back and thought, like, what have they really done for the community to help our kids? How much money did they make last year? Some of these people make probably well over $100,000 just promoting.
Correct.
And the thing is, I put on Facebook one time to even the club owners and promoters. I put on there, I said, I tell you what, since a lot of you are the reason why these children within our city are missing their parents on probably from Wednesday to Sunday night.
Correct.
Okay. Listen to the club. Well, spent the money. Some of the kids are eating corn dogs, but they done went out and spent within a night. Some of these people spend anywhere from $300 to $500 on one night to go and do what? Yeah. And what I said was, since school is starting back up, I said, when I be taking my kids to school, I be seeing kids that look like they only got 2 uniforms to last them all week.
Correct.
I see kids with no proper weather wear and different things like that. I was like, well, if you're going to get the money from their parents, why don't you put on a drive or something to help the kids that's going to school, to give them book bags with a notebook and some pencils at least. Give back to the community, the same community that a lot of you grew up in, a lot of you went to the schools and different things like that. Why do everything got to be about you? You see what I'm saying? And that's that boss mentality. The thing about a boss is he don't want nobody else in his slot, and he want to stay there for as long as he need to stay there.
But let's take it even back. Let's take it even back too, Bruce, to just the core thing of this. When I look back at a good mentor of mine, C.O. Bryan, he has a documentary, Runaway Slave. Support this documentary, Runaway Slave by Reverend C.O. Bryan. It really is just life changing. Okay. But when you look back at enslavement, and when you look back at what keeps us down, the atmosphere of bondage, the culture of bondage within the city. You just hit on so much. This is why you're my brother, man. You just hit on so much, because I challenge E. Baller. Okay, I challenge him. Now, E. Baller had nothing but love for me. He said, you going in the right direction. He had nothing but love for me, right? And to a large extent, what I'm saying from my movement, he's seeing what I was doing when I was positive and a lot of other things. And one time I told him about voting, because he started to support a candidate that is well known and obvious he is not supporting or better in the city, but he's doing it again just to have a seat at the table, just like a lot of these corrupt black racist church leaders. they're doing a lot of things for personal gain, political gain, just to sit at the table, and they're not helping or bettering the city. And people wonder, well, how does Flint not get better? Well, that's why. Special interest in personal gain is not going to be something that's going to promote the collective success of a community. And so I challenge him, because even though I got much love for Dollar Day, because, you know, he does do a lot of, he's tried to be more positive in some of the stuff that he's promoting.
Okay.
So some of the stuff he promote, like comedy things and those type of things, you know, I'm like, okay, man, that's positive. I can work with that. And then some stuff be over the top. But overall, when I look at E-Baller, you know, a lot of these individuals, they don't live in Flint either. You know what I'm saying? They don't live in Flint. And so just recently, you know, there was a toy drive, and you know, they all showed up, and, you know, a person was saying, you know, thank you for the monetary gain and all of this. But look, most of these guys are heavily involved in the drug culture. One way or the other, the toxic promotion culture, all that stuff is like hand in hand. You know what I mean? And so as a result of dealing with these guys, I challenged them, like, listen, why don't you stand up and do more for putting on something for the community? And then at the same time, if you don't even acknowledge the stuff that you're doing that's tearing down the city, and you just looking at it like, you know, I'm just going to do this to eat, well, you got to understand, you prostituting your own community. Yeah. You know, you prostituting, you know, like you said, the families, man. You're not looking at the overall harm that you're doing. You know what I mean? Exactly. And so as a result of that, you know, I've had several times when I've had to speak out against that individual and other individuals, like even Raspberries. A lot of these or when you do have a nice establishment like Raspberries, when it first came, you had it was diverse. You know what I'm saying? You had different races. It was multi-ethnic. I mean, you could catch white people in there. You could catch all different type of people that would be down there. And so that's rare, to be honest. Right. In Flint, I hate to say, Michigan is one of the most segregated places. And so as a result, when I seen him or the actual owner of Raspberries, and just how recently they went to, like, I called them the downtown beavers. You know, you go into the club. Yeah, I mean, it's completely not the way it is. And I'm not trying to look, I've been down there. I've supported Raspberry. So as a consumer, a customer, I'm going to say how I feel about it, because it's the truth. What happens is, because that's the only thing that can move things and get money, the negative stuff, supporting the drug culture, supporting the alcohol, supporting all the negativity, you know what I mean, that happens. And so what happened, they all sell out. Okay, we can't get a marketing coalition together and come up with some witty ideas to try to bring in traffic in a positive way. We got to always sell our soul to the devil, basically, club promoters, in order to bring business in. And once you start bringing these type of people in, you change the culture of your establishment, and it never goes back to being the same.
But one point I want to make, because even though I'm for the truth and I'm for being honest, there's other ways to look at things as well. Like when it comes to Raspberries, I've been there a couple of times. I don't go out much because I spend a lot of time with my kids. You know, I don't spend more of my time and finances on personal leisure, because it is important for me to be a father. Yeah, you got responsibilities and everything like that. That's important as well. But when you look at Raspberries, it is downtown, okay, and it is a place where black people frequent. And just it being downtown, if you just look at downtown, or you got the loft and stuff, people go down there. But when you look at a place like Raspberries and what the vision was for Raspberries and what it was to promote in the first place, was a nice. It was nice for people who make college, work at early, middle class, college, whatever, can come and enjoy themselves without the riffraff. Correct. And that's I would like to still make a point, you know, because I'm a realist. I like to be realistic all the way around. Now, if something wrong, there's a time to expose that, but then there's a time to still be understanding as well. Because if you look at that business downtown, it is downtown. It's kind of almost a miracle, really, for it to be down where it is. And when you start looking at finances and different things like that within the economical structure of the community, sometimes in business, sometimes you got to do certain things in order to keep the doors open. But and then sometimes it would, like, you get to relaxing with the dress code, and if you relax with the dress code, then that means you're going to attract certain people. Right. But see, but in one sense, if he kept it all the way real, in a sense, then he may have to close the doors as well. But you got to pull those pants up. But I do understand that, but I'm just only making just a realistic point. You know. But again, I mean, I don't like getting tunnel vision. I like to kind of keep things open a little bit. But again, you got to look at it. I mean, you're talking to somebody who
who I've worked in corporate America. I run my own branches. You know, I got 2 business degrees. What I mean is these guys could come together with more positive ways of coming together with marketing ideas. When you look at Beavers, when you look at all these different clubs, I mean, people are getting killed in these establishments. So you got to understand, like you said, if we're going to always lower the standard, and that's for the ethics and the morality is also for business owners.
Yes,
and if they're, I mean, you don't see Blackstone's doing this. You don't see 501 Grill doing this. You don't see any of these other establishments doing. So if you have these individuals that are not lowering the standards, why is it always the black owners, the black establishments that are lowering the standards? So what I'm saying, like 50 Cent said, get rich or die trying. Look, my thing is this: if you're gonna do anything for $1, you ain't useful to nobody. Flat out. And then you look at, like Tupac said, a very solid statement. He was more of a community activist than he was a rapper. I love a lot of the positive music that he did have, but the music industry was so toxic they killed him, period. Exactly. I mean, and that's a long story short. But basically, when you look at the fact he made a solid statement, don't support anything. When you look at the fact these guys talking about they business owners, they promoters, but they don't do nothing for the community. Okay, a person died from a drug and a club culture, and the best way y'all know how to remember them is to go and give another memorial in a club for them. A party. You know what I mean? Like, basically, then more people get killed at that. So it's like
shoot out at the
exactly. So my thing is, you know, there's nothing really about being tunnel vision or anything like that. And this is why I have a good respect for Bruce, because we intellectual, we balance ideas, we talk to each other, and so as a result. What I'm saying is we got to have an overall higher standard of morals and ethics within our community, from the business owners, from so many other people, because if we keep patterning the same thing, doing the same thing, expecting a different result, we're going to continue to lose. And then these individuals we're saying that are not making the community good, they're going to continue to stay empowered. Exactly. They're going to continue to be individuals that, hey, they're going to continue to promote the wrong thing, because at the end of the day, I'm be honest, I think most of the political leaders, church leaders, and business leaders are lazy in Flint. They don't work hard. What I mean by that is coming up with witty, innovative ideas of how to do things different. Yes. How to do things fresh. You would be surprised at how many new ideas and things that I can present and I bring in, as I do consulting and I do marketing work, and it's so hard to get new ideas across the people in Flint.
Well. See, here's the one thing. Well, but what I would like to say, thanks to the pastors that are doing their job and being true representatives of God. I thank the ones that are actually studying not only the Bible but original texts. Correct. In conjunction with the King James Version Bible. Correct. You know, and do care about the people, and do teach their members to be benevolent for their one another. I visited Ebenezer
Church Without Walls. It's we plan on doing some work with them. So there's a lot of solid people that's out there that do that. I just wanted to kind of say that because within dealing with this culture, I've studied the business, I've studied the church and religious clergy here, and like, again, we got to get real with each other. You know what I mean? And if we don't discuss these things and really be honest, and I'm not saying every pastor's like that, but listen, why is there so many churches here? But I'm honest, I talk to the pastors. They are like, they don't even want to work with other pastors. I go to these people and I say, let's get some unity going. And they tell me, Darwin, I love you, I respect you, but I can't deal with these pastors.
We'll at first I was just just veering off, saying thank you for the people that are doing what they're supposed to do. Okay, now back to the problem. Okay, now it is a problem because it seems like the church has become because it's a nonprofit organization, for one. Mm-hmm. But the problem comes when pastors, first ladies, make the church industry for themselves. Use the nonprofit organization as a loophole to gain for personal gain. Correct. And that's wrong. You see what I'm saying? That is wrong. Using God's word to get the people to give monies so you can pave your driveway, so you can build another bounce house in the backyard on your 10 acres of land for your grandkids. And then for the member, then it's sad though, because some of these pastors, and this is the truth, You can buy a Cadillac every 3 years, or a Mercedes every 3 years, or go get that other house. I'm not saying that no one should have nothing nice, but when we talking about
priorities,
when we talking about a place of worship, a place where in the Bible says, "Fail not to assemble yourselves together," different things like that, so that everybody can get somewhere spiritually and mentally on a more positive note in God. This is what this place is for. This place is not a place for you to accumulate finances, for extra finance for yourself, because some of these people work in the shop or just retired or different things like that, and use the church all these different Mother Days and these Men's Days and all these different things, and raising $10,000 for you to go and have a vacation, okay, when your personal finances already make room for that. You see what I'm saying? And now you say that, a workman is worthy of his hire, and I'm doing all this. No, God will bless you, because see, the thing is, you can't tell a person to put the money in my hand and then God will put it back in your hand. Because if that's the case, and if we're supposed to lead by example, God should be first blessing you to take care of the establishment that He called you, or that He chose you to facilitate over. And I think that's wrong. And if you're gonna buy another Cadillac or another Mercedes Benz, or you got all that closet full of $300 and $400 suits and dresses and different things, and your own members are barely even making it, or you will indirectly pressure your members to dip into their consumer money, dip into their water money, dip into their kids' school money, and different things like that. That is wrong.
A few years
it
ago,
is flat out wrong.
A few years ago, one of the GM plants was on strike. And there was this, I wish I remember the pastor's name in the church they're affiliated with, but during the course of that strike, they actually were helping the members of their church who are affected by that strike. They're actually giving them money from their own coffers.
Well, that's a
and I applaud
thing.
that. I was like shocked. I wish I could remember that minister's name.
And I wish you could too, so that we could say, "God bless you, minister." And see, the thing is, it's hurt. That's a part that's hurting our community, because the church is supposed to be a place where people can go and get a reset, and then get back out here and face this world. And I just the valid point I just want to make: we should not use religious facilities for personal gain. I feel like if you're going to buy all these expensive things periodically, year in, year out, instead of buying that new Cadillac where you just enjoyed 30 different ones for the past 30 years that you've been in ministry, why don't you take that extra money and keep the Cadillac that you already got and go and buy the members, the ones that's riding the church van that's keep breaking down and don't have no gas in it, and back and forth in the shop. And then some of the church vans don't even look as good as the cars that people drive. And that's not right.
And you're bringing up some solid points, because part of what really the whole ministry and what I do is a kingdom ministry. When you look at the benevolence of Jesus, okay, what you realize is that He was for the community.
Exactly.
And what you realize, it was about collective benefit. Okay, and a lot of things, God allows you to go through things to develop your faith, to allow yourself to understand of how to process the promises and the blessings of God as well.
Exactly.
And so as a result of that, the men of God I've been under have been serious about stewardship. Okay. See, when you bring up a lot of things you brought up, because I got to hold you back on this, because I want to make sure people understand what you're trying to say. Okay. You got to have priorities, and you got to have stewardship measures. If you don't have proper stewardship measures, you're not an example to the church. You're not an example to the people. If you are not giving, the Bible says it's better to give than to receive. And if all you're doing is giving, all you're doing is receiving, and you're not giving, something's wrong with that. And I've stood up against churches and people that I know. So when you look at this from the club promoters, church leaders, and just failed political leaders and all these type of things that we have to address. And this is why I have to take the stances through Flint Urban Culture and do the things that I'm doing. So everything you said was solid. Yeah. Everything you said was solid. And what I'm saying is that type of mentality have infiltrated the churches, is infiltrated. And it also has driven to the drug culture.
Yeah, they have.
So I'm glad you brought this up, because when you look at this, it's all selfishness, and it's all a way to literally have a love for money in many cases, and looking after your own welfare. And so Lisa brought up some solid points, and I want to make sure that we get this, because I really have to address this. When she said there was individuals that were saying things, or making threats and these type of things, when speaking out, part of what I do is I speak out against the drug culture, and I say things, and unfortunately I don't hide my past. I tell people at the age of 14 I started selling drugs. My father actually introduced me to a lot of the street hustlers and to the dope game a lot of times when I was younger, and due to his own affiliations with the streets and even through addiction. And what my godfather is actually, his brother is an actually drug lord, LA, from the north side of Flint. I think he got close to 23 years. He's still in prison. And so as a result of that, I spoke out against something, but these were personal friends that I knew, that I grew up with. And keep in mind, I didn't have any backlash from their family personally. So I got to address when I said something about a good friend, that his name was Sam Gardner, basically. Sammy Gardner, so they called him Sammy G. Mm-hmm. And I spoke out against this, and it wasn't just him. I spoke out against, I was speaking about him, an individual named Jits, because I know Jits' mother. We actually attend the same church, and I had an encounter with Jits' mother at the mall with his son, and when I seen her, and I seen the hurt in her eyes, and I seen of how she had a pain that I couldn't only imagine how that felt, knowing her son life was taken to such foolishness, that I felt obligated to speak out. And for so long I didn't speak out against this. And I also talked about Jeff, an individual that I know, and then I talked to Teak. He gave me permission to even put the picture up and do what I do. So a lot of behind the scenes people supporting me, saying and doing what I've done, but it's the overall toxic behavior of the community that they've been in bondage and unfortunately poverty for so long. Poverty is not just a monetary thing, it's a mentality that when people start speaking up against good and promoting truth, then they almost go against the grain just because they don't know no better. It's almost like when Jesus said, forgive them for they know not what they do. They're sick. They don't understand that, look, somebody's trying to give you pure water, but you're so used to drinking dirt and oil that you don't even understand what's right and wrong anymore.
So we still have to be empathetic to them because of their mental, emotional, and spiritual condition. And the thing is, to tell the truth is not to kill them.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? But you may be sick. It's just like if you quit drinking, you quit using heroin, you quit using crack, you're gonna have the jitters for a minute. It's gonna take some time for adjusting. And to begin with, it's not gonna be no fun. And you're gonna want to run back to the very thing that was just killing you. And see, the thing is, even with Flint urban culture, and the reason why I respect Darwin is because at least he's brave enough to speak out about the truth. And the thing about that is that's something that's missing within our community, is affecting our children. We see all these young people that keep coming of age every year. One of these young people that we complaining about walking around with their pants hanging down, hanging out at the liquor stores, roaming the city streets during school hours. Every year, one of them is turning 18, and those children are coming from somebody's houses. But all of us adults are complaining, but why is this high number of children walking around like they're just so lost? That means there's somebody somewhere is not taking care of responsibility.
And real quick, go ahead, because I got a few points that I got to hurry up and get off.
Okay.
Because we spent a lot of time just dealing with the church leaders, so I want to make sure we always get passionate about that in every interview.
This is serious.
And so
we talking about.
And so basically, when there was a lot of things, when I made this statement, I never said anybody deserved to die. People started taking my words and twisting it and saying some other things that I didn't say. But what I said was that these individuals were not from the streets. I mean, they were not. Now, some of them made choices to get, I came up with Westpac, Woodrow, Vegas, Rudy, Juan. I came up with these people. They know me directly, okay? YBM, Quack, Joe, a lot of other people, man. Rest in peace, CJ, a lot of different people that passed away, from Mountain Boys, Chank. I mean, a lot of different people people that I came up around, Fifth Ward, AC, Breon. I mean, these were people that I sat with them. I mean, I was affiliated with them. And so as a result of that, you know, from a young boy growing up around all of this stuff, both of my parents been to prison, and I started something just recently called Street Smart Hustle Knowledge, which is basically going to be it's far from fiction, but it's actually going to be a character that I've created that's going to actually tell of my experiences of everything that I've learned. And I got so much that's in me to discuss this, and I got some people that, I mean, they directly support me in this. So that's on Facebook. FlintUC.org is launching webpage. That's on Facebook. Covenant Family pro-life initiatives. These are all pro-family initiatives, and just to better our community. This is all part of Flint urban culture. And as a result of that, when I spoke out against, and I made this statement, it was out of love, you know, because the Bible says, look, God chastens those he loves. He corrects those he loves. So a lot of times people misunderstand the paternal nature of God with the maternal nature of God. The paternal nature of God is a correctiveness. It's a corrective. This to make sure you learn from what you do and you don't do it no more. It's kind of like daddy.
Right.
All right. Now, the maternal is the baby, I love you. That's mama. No matter how many folk you kill, I love you, baby. And you going to always be my boo-boo. You know, that's, and see, that mentality and that thinking, one of my mentors, a person that I really respect, he calls that mama God syndrome, because they view that is the idea, nature of God, and it's not the complete nature of God. So when you understand the brokenness of our community, of not having fathers and not having individuals there, they don't understand that. So they're going to have some rebellion. See, you don't be empathetic with rebellion. You correct and rebuke rebellion. And when you look at the city of Flint, the streets, that's rebellion. Okay, that is a direct disalignment with God's word and his way of doing things with the family and so many other things. And so as a result of that, I made these statements, and just, you know, how they were not from the streets, and that they chose to live this life when they had good families and other things. And as a result, they were killed because of what they were living in and what they were doing. And as you know, that wasn't to down or degrade them. I had a lot of love and respect. I mean, the last time I was with Sammy G, he was at my house. You know, people don't know that. Like, we was together. We hustled. I mean, we was with each other. You know what I mean? So, and at times, now, he wasn't somebody I just hung out with, but I knew his brother. You know, and one of my good friends, Webb, you know, was like a family member to me. You know, he was with him and his brother Scooter, you know, when they actually found Sam. So my thing is, you know, I whenever I speak on something, as I said in the George Moss recent interview, if you can go look at it, when I speak out on something, I'm 99.9% correct on what I'm talking about. And because people are ignorant of the street culture, they're ignorant of so many different things, they don't understand or have the knowledge of what's going on. And so because of this mentality, you know, and I want to send condolences out to his family and everything, because I know that was a serious loss. It hurt me. So I had to speak out and say something about this, because if we keep repeating the same stuff, as I said in the status, we're just going to keep the death toll rolling. Yes. You know, and so we cannot do that. So that my statements was not to be malicious towards nobody or to degrade nobody. It wasn't to talk about them or do anything like that. Just like a good friend of mine, Blink, that was murdered in a church shooting. Okay, I knew Blink, came up with Blink. Now Blink was more, I gotta be honest, he was more of a follower, but that was my good friend. But I knew we had to keep a distance, because some people like to sell their soul to these streets, and this is just what they do. And you know, unfortunately, you got love and respect for them, but if you out shooting at people, doing stuff, and you just doing it just to say and make a name for yourself, right, then what do you think is going to happen? And so as a result, this bondage and this mentality of enslavement, we've traded, we've accepted what I think we just recently had with ice and fire events. Fire and ice. Fire and ice. We've traded that in with Smith Village, or we've traded different things in within a city, and we've given up any property or anything that's been within Flint. They have not been worth the value. It hasn't been worth the value, and so we're giving ourselves into this, and we're not holding a higher level of accountability from our local officials, and a lot of different things like that. And even when I look at myself, my 96-year-old grandmother just recently supported my movement. She's 96 years old. She goes to Foss Avenue, and I'm a person that's a part of Foss Avenue in the Northside Baptist Church community. My grandfather came up at Foss. My grandmother was buried at Foss, and so I'm going to reestablish those relationships. But I'm saying all of that to say this: our mentality towards a lot of different things of just our impoverished state has to really be challenged in order to get us somewhere else. And so I really appreciate all the statements from Bruce and just how everything has went down, because we need to continue to stand up and speak out against this. We have to continue to do this, and if we don't, we're going to continue to fail future generations from here on out. And that's the overall goal of Flint Urban Culture, to moral culture change, to speak out against things and to let people know we do care. Everything we do is out of love. Everything we do is to help better one another, because we live this lifestyle. We came from this. So if there's anybody that's going to be responsible enough to speak out against it, it's myself, because I lived it. I was out there in the streets when nobody else was out there. I remember when it was only a few people. Okay, so when I think about individuals like, and I know we're running down with time.
We're running out of time.
Correct.
John's flashing the sign back there.
Yeah, correct. And so I just want to make, I just want to make this last statement. When you look at individuals who were literally trading their morals and their values, and I gotta say I have much respect and love for Omar Sims, but I look at it as this: if you run as a Republican and then you trade your morals and values to be a Democrat, and then you're supporting individuals who are not, you are a jellyback leader, and we don't need them type of leaders and representation in our community. Stand for something and be consistent. Stand for the same thing. Stand for what's moral. Stand for what's right, and be about that. And that's what we stand for overall in general.
Okay. And in saying that, we're going to have to sign off today, and I feel very enlightened.
Okay.
My two old spirits right here. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, and I hope you had as much fun as I did. Next week, I want to make sure you tune in. We have Miss Danielle Brown from Christ Enrichment Center, and also Monday from 5 to 8 at BD's Mongolian, we have Miss Black Hawaii and Miss Junior Teen Supreme that's going to be doing the cooking, and all their tips will go toward them going to the finals. So in saying that, this is Flaminpit, and we're out.